Welcome to Debriefing, the OACYC podcast with your host, Sean Guptill, and a special guest, Dr. Wolfgang Vachon. It's going to be a fun evening. Let's get the crowd coming in. We're going to wait for a bit. Welcome, everybody. It's CYC Week 2024. This is our podcast Debriefing. You're joining us for the premiere. Give a little bit before people start to come in. Let our social medias connect. Oh, we have one viewer. Welcome. 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 One person so far. All right. Well, it's been an awesome week so far. We launched our store on Monday, exclusive for CYC Week, and we've had amazing sales on behalf of OACYC. I can't thank you all enough who've already purchased something, got our swag on, and repping the OACYC. Thank you very much. We've done information session on membership, and today you're joining us for the premiere of our new podcast, which should be running live once a month. We're going to have some pre-shows going in between that, pre-recorded shows going in between that, but we should be bringing some amazing guests, and it will be fun. So follow us on our YouTube, follow us on our Facebook, follow us on LinkedIn at OACYC. YouTube is actually at Ontario CYC. Connect with us, and we'll have some amazing fun coming up. So I think we should bring our first guest on, our president, Cora.
Hey, Sean.
Welcome, Cora.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you feeling finally at the threshold of the podcast?
I'm loving it. A little nervous, but you know what? I'll get my niche. I'll get my space, and we'll make this happen. Right? I love being here. I love doing this. I love OACYC. I love CYC, and I'm on top of the world right now.
Perfect.
Well, kind of. You put me in my place the other day. We're the soil. Remember, we're the soil.
Yeah, we're the foundation. That's right.
Yes, we're the foundation.
We're watered and we're seeded by all of the support that we get from our community. That's cool. Where it comes from. Yeah, good. So what's next?
Oh, great. So, well, I want to know, what is it like being president? You've been president how long now?
Oh, man. So this is my third year being president. Wow. Yeah, it's my third year. The membership said they would have me, and the board also said they would have me, which is really incredible experience. I'll tell you, the thing about being president is like, it's like, I said this a couple nights ago, but it's really, it requires you to be committed to something so much larger than yourself. It requires you to be connected to a future that doesn't yet exist. And I think that one of the most surprising things about being in this role is that the support that this role comes with it's indescribable, because the way that we are organized inside of the organization the organization is designed to support the role of the president. And listen, as a role, that's something, right? Like as a role, yeah, okay, fine. That's the organizational structure.
Mhm.
But as an individual, it's wild.
Yes.
It's wild. It's wild. It
I can
really
only
is.
imagine.
It really is. It really is. It's also a massive privilege.
Mhm.
Massive privilege. It's a massive privilege to hold the role of president and to be steward to the overall direction of the organization. I mean, I said it before and I'll say it again. I love it, and I feel so lucky and so honored and so privileged to hold this role. It's great.
Awesome. Yeah, totally. And I tell you, you're best president I ever
Thanks, man.
had.
I try. I'm trying for you, man. I'm trying for everybody. I really am.
Hey, it's for Ontario. It's for
Thanks.
Ontario, right?
Thanks. Thanks.
Right. It's for the membership. It's for the people who support. Right. It's Ontario.
Yeah,
It's
because
Ontario.
listen, I'll just say that, when I became president, I walk around and I go, I'm not the president, I'm your president. Like actually, like I'm your president. Like this is for you, right?
Mhm.
Like this is not for me. This is for you. And that is the juice that keeps me going.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. So membership. Membership is a big thing. It's what keeps us going, right? If we didn't have membership, we wouldn't have OACYC. There would be no point. We'd be talking to ourselves for no reason. Why is membership so important to you? Why do you think membership is so important? Why is it important for someone to become a member?
Over the time that I've been on the board, I get the same question over and over and over again. And the question is, why should I be a member? Why should I be a member? And a couple of years ago, I really tried to answer that question from many different people. And then I came to the conclusion that I can't answer a question about what you would get out of membership. And so where that led me was membership isn't for you. And it's not for me. It's for us. It's for us. It's for our community. It's for our new graduates. It's for those who have been doing youth work in community, who haven't gone through, the formal education in Ontario. It's for us. It's for the community. Membership is for us because membership funds the association, and the association stands for the advancement of the profession. It's like, yes, there are individual benefits, but whilst I'm here, I'm only interested in the collective benefit. And so, membership rocks because it's for us.
Right.
That's it.
I think that also goes into our theme this week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Future of CYC.
That's
right? Putting the you into community.
That's
right.
right. That's right.
Memberships
That's
for
right.
the future.
That's right. That's right.
Right?
Because ultimately, child and youth care in a broad way, we really need to focus on belonging to each other again. Right? So much has happened in the world over the last few years. We were all separated. We were doing work parallel to each other, but not together. And so this is it. It's like you've always been there, community. Right? We just want to pull you back in.
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
100. I totally agree. All right. Well, we got some exciting news. I'm going to segue into a little bit of a plug. So CYC Assets is excited to share that during CYC week, they're offering a 50% discount to 2 of their webinars. And they're only going to be $30, right? So, but you have to purchase by May 11th. All right. We added the link to them in the chat separately on LinkedIn and Instagram. If you look at the chat, you'll get the link. So go there. You have to do it before May 11th at 11:59 p.m. Right. And each webinar is $30 then. So, hey, go. It's going to be fun. I might check it out myself.
And remember, y'all, you need your trainings in order to renew your membership with the OACYC. So this is a great opportunity to knock it out of the park and get it done.
Yeah, totally. And you know what? I'm going to go right into another plug for them right now, because you were talking about certificates. Well, what better way is to use the CYC Asset Tracker app, right?
Yeah.
So they have a tracking app, and you could get use of it for 1 month free, but you got to go and apply for it now. So that link is also going to be in the chats. So check that out, and happy tracking. Right?
Thanks, Sean.
So we have an amazing guest. I'm excited about having Dr. Wolfgang Vachon coming on. So Wolfgang has been working with children and youth for close to 3 decades, including those who are street involved, 2 SLGBTQ+, survivors of trauma, minoritized, living in detention, as well as other forms of state care. A significant part of his practice uses community arts and art-based inquiries processes, which have led to the development of dozens of plays and other art-based projects and publications. In 2022, Wolfgang completed his PhD in CYC at the University of Victoria. His dissertation used audio drama inquiry with CYCPs who lived in residential placement as young people. I'm throwing in the banner below, tuning into CYC.org. Check this out. Wolfgang teaches child and youth care at Humber College. And just help me welcome Wolfgang to our show. Welcome, Wolfgang. Honored to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited.
Honored to be our first special guest. And you're very special. You're special to me. I've learned a lot from you.
Thank you.
This guy's great. Wolfgang, we are so grateful that you are here.
Thank you. Thank you, Cora.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. We worked on some stuff together, but we'll probably get that into a conversation in a little bit. But wow, you're here. This is a big thing. This is like debriefing. You're going to be debriefing with us today, right? Heather, he is legendary.
Oh, thank you so much, Heather.
Legendary.
Thank you so much. I'm
excited.
I'm
have
excited.
Interns coming in all the time, and I'm like, do you know who Wolfgang is? They're like, we read something of his, or we had to listen to something. You're known. You're known. You're known. You're known.
My head's gonna get big, Sean.
I can make the screen a little bigger. Right? AI, it adjusts. Don't worry. All right, Cora.
See you later.
Thank you.
Bye, Cora.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Wolfgang, so happy to have you here. So happy to have you here.
Thank you very much. I'm honored.
How's your day going?
It's going well. It's going well. Yeah, I've had a good day. You know, it's prepping now for the next semester, wrapping up the last semester, supervising some students who are doing placement. None with you that I'm aware of. I'll find out soon. Yeah, it's been a good day. It's been a good day.
Nice, nice, nice. All right. So you've recently finished, well, it's been a few years,
Mhm.
your PhD in CYC. You're now a doctor of
That's right.
CYC, and you
Doctor of
don't like
CYC.
hearing that. Dr. Wolfgang Vachon, right? Own it. You
Oh,
got
yeah.
to
Thank you,
own it.
Sean. A friend of mine calls me Dr. Care.
Hey, you know what? You need to put that on a t-shirt. You got
I
to
think
get
you
that
got to
on
put on
a
a
t-shirt.
t-shirt.
So developing your dissertation, you stepped outside of the norm and you created audio dramas, like
Mhm.
amazing works of art, right? You brought so many, you brought me, you brought other people I know, like out of our shell, like confidence. I think I'm able to do this today because you helped me like pull my confidence. Like I did stuff I never thought I would do, right? Like I talk about it all the time, right?
Nice.
You did audio drama inquiries. One was hiring care, which is 7 CYC practitioners with lived experience in the child welfare system, considering their time in care. And then refiled one I worked on you with, and this had the audience hearing a story of what it's like to be removed from care, from your family, put into care, and then working in care in the system and thinking about going to get your own files and
Mhm.
trying to figure out
Mhm.
what people said about you and what it was like. I still remember one of our conversations, and it was about like my file, like it was so heavy and so dirty, the amount of hands that touched this, the cigarette stains, the
Mhm.
coffee
Mhm.
stains, the ripped papers, and it
Mhm.
just, there was so
Mhm.
much
Mhm.
history in
Mhm.
one of those files that
Mhm.
talk stuck with me so much, and because it was
Mhm.
just so
Mhm.
powerful. Can you speak of
Mhm.
Refiled and share a bit of your creative thought in processing this? Like, what made you want to do that?
Mhm. Yeah. So my background, as you said in the introduction, is theater, right? And so I've always worked with theater, and I've always seen theater as a route to exploring and learning about who we are and who other people are. And I love theater, and theater has a lot of limits. And I was really interested in thinking about how can we do theater a bit more ethically. And I was attracted to this idea of audio drama as a way of engaging with people in through an art space, through a theatrical milieu, yet not having the pressure of live performance like we are right now, not having the pressure of um, not being able to make mistakes, the pressure of people relying on you, those sorts of things, which I found with a lot of young people that I've worked with over the years, that can become just another layer which isn't necessary. And so I was quite
Mhm.
interested in exploring this idea of audio drama. And so I did a project with a colleague of mine, Shaheen Arif, then, and we did something called Transitioning Home. And Transitioning Home was, we did it in like 2020, around that, well, 2018 maybe. And it was working with a group of queer, trans, racialized folks who had experience in the shelter system, and created this audio drama. And for
Mhm.
me, it was really an exploration to see if this approach could be effective as a form of inquiry, as a form of research, and as a form of dissemination. And I thought it was quite successful in many, many ways. And so when I started doing my PhD, I was debating about what to do and how to do it. And one of my supervisor, Dr. Jennifer White, said, you are a researcher, Wolfgang. I said, I don't think I am, right? I don't think I am. I said, I'm a theater practitioner. He said, well, what do you do in theater? And And I said, well, I talk to people. She's like, mm-hmm. And I gather their stories. Mm-hmm. And then I find a way to put it together. Mm-hmm. And then we present it. And she was like, yeah, that's research, Wolfgang. And so I thought, wow, if that's research, it really opens up what we mean by research. And so I decided to pursue this topic around child and youth care practitioners from care. It was a piece that I had written early in my academic career. I wrote a piece around practitioners from care, and it received a lot of response. Some of it quite positive, and some of it quite not so positive, shall I say, and a lot of critiques around it. And so I really want to explore this idea of practitioners from care. What is it like to be a child and youth care practitioner from care? What are the benefits? What are the challenges? What are there any benefits? Is there such a thing as a practice from care? And so those were some of the topics that I was interested in exploring. And so how that happened, I recruited some amazing people, and we did some exploratory workshops, and it was probably the strangest first interview some people ever had. I said, okay, here's a bunch of objects. I want you to, without words, just using, I want me to tell a story of going into care. And people were like, what do you even mean by that? And so we just played, we made noise, we made music, we made sounds. And out of that process, over multiple months, we came up with the story Refiled, which you mentioned earlier. And I do want to just mention I'm having a slight website issue right now with tuning into CYC. So I'll give you another link to post onto your socials on how to link through to that site. Okay. So if anybody's trying to get on there right now and it's giving you grief, we have a back door.
Awesome. Yeah, it's amazing when you naturally do something you don't even know it, right? Like you're a researcher.
Yeah.
Right? Like you didn't even know it, like, right?
Yeah. And I think in child and youth care in particular, we're frightened of this idea of research or inquiry, and we're like, oh no, I want to work with people. I don't want to do research. Research is this abstract thing, and it's distant from who we are as people. But when we talk about arts-based inquiry, arts-based research, it is our practice. We are engaging with people, soliciting their stories, responding to their stories, and finding a way to communicate those stories. And that's what we do every single day that we work with young people. Every single day that we're engaged with young people, we're in conversation with them, and we're both growing through those conversations. And that's what research is. It's soliciting understanding and knowledge through community, and then passing that on. And that's what research
100.
is. And
100%. All right, the term. Okay, so Refiled is essentially about a CYC from care. I never really heard about CYC from care as being like a label until I met you and we did Refiled, right? I always knew that there was like people that wanted to be child and youth care workers, but they were always looked at like, oh, you can't do that. You're broken. How can you help? You have trauma. How can you help someone else? I came to understand that essentially someone from care that wants to be a CYC has a lot to offer. There's a lot of value in what they could bring, their approach. And having people that aren't from care and having people from care on the same team could be beneficial. You can have different approaches, right? The whole thing where if you don't think that you could support someone, your strength is showing that, hey, can you see if you could help them? Asking your colleague, right? Like passing the support off to someone else, right? That's a strength. And I think just having being able to have people from care on a team, there's so much value there. It's lived experience, right? And some of the people that we support, if not all, could tell if someone's being fake, right? Or just trying to say, I get it from a textbook, right? I understand. I read a couple of case studies, right? That really doesn't go nowadays, right? People want people that were hands-on, that actually get it, that went through something. Do you see value in this? Do you see the taboo changing? The taboo of CYC from care changing? What do you see? What's the, like? Is there value, a real value in CYC from care?
Yeah, so I believe so. I absolutely believe so. So if you'll indulge me, I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the findings from the process that I did, and
Sure.
and
Sure.
when we talk about value of practitioners from care, I think we have to recognize that it's not universal, right? And so there's going to be, it really depends on the specific individual. Now, pretty much well, no, I won't say pretty much. I would say every single person that I spoke to, and there's about 20 altogether for my PhD, all of them identified benefits to being from care. You asked about taboo, and it was quite intriguing to me. Some people really claim an identity about being from care, and other people don't. And there were people that were part of my that I had conversations with. Some people who I had known for years, Sean, and I had never known that they had spent time in the child welfare system. And it was only when I was reaching out and looking for people to be part of the process that they came forward and identified that to me. And I found that fascinating. So I asked them why, and they said, because of the stigma, because of the taboo, because of all those sorts of things that they carried. Now, I'll also say that most of those people were of my generation or older. So, they weren't 20-year-olds, right? So they're people in their 40s, 50s, 60s later who were more resistant to disclosing. And much of it came from watching other people disclose and them being consequenced through punishments for that disclosure. And so they're like, okay, well, that's clearly not an area that I'm going to go down. And we see something very different, I think, with newer practitioners. There's been a real shift towards this idea of lived experience and the value of lived experience, whether that being, being a Black practitioner, whether that being a queer practitioner, although there's still not a lot of queer practitioners out in the world, whether that be a practitioner with a disability. So there's movement happening around this idea of lived experience. When people talked about the benefits, there was a few different things that they identified around benefits. They talked about having a direct knowledge in the system, right? So that we understand what it's like to live in a group home. The story of Refiled is about this practitioner named Revel, who the inciting incident of the podcast, of the story, is Revel has to put a young person into restraint. Because other staff has initiated a restraint, and then Revel, as the second staff on, has to respond to that. And in that process, Revel then recalls their own experience of putting people under restraint. And again, this came directly out of the experiences of the people that were working on Refiled. Right? That this is the experience that people had. They had been restrained. They had to put people under restraint. This restraints is an incredibly difficult, incredibly violent, incredibly intrusive experience, as it's experienced by many people. I'm not here to say that if a young person runs out into the street, I'm going to grab them, I'm going to pick them up, I'm going to restrain them, and I'm going to bring them back into safety, right? So there's a place for us to do physical interventions. We have to understand the consequences of that, and we have to understand the implications of that. And so Revel was really thrown into this this crisis when she had to put this person in restraint. And so this idea of I understand what it's like also carries with it a weight that, and I think this is where the fear of others sometimes comes in, right? Oh, you're going to be too close. You're going to be too connected, right? And we see that. We see that with, critiques of reporters right now. Reporters who are Palestinian, who are in the Gaza Strip, oh, you're too close. Or reporters who are Jewish in Israel, oh, you're too close to this, right? And so this idea that you're too close, you don't have objectivity. Whereas many of the child youth care practitioners from CARE say, well, this is actually a benefit, right? This is actually helpful. It allows us to, for example, identify people we work with. It allows us, for example, to role model, to say, hey, this is where you can be. It allows them to develop relationship, right? There's a connection there that goes beyond, your favorite TV shows and games and things like that. There's this sense that practitioners of care have this embodied understanding, this knowledge inside their experience. They recognize the smell, right? The smell of the group home, right? They know what it's like that first day when you enter the group home and you go and you're given your garbage bags. We do that much less now, but you're given your garbage bags and you have to unpack in this new home. What it's like to see your new foster parents that you've never met before, right? And so there's this embodied knowledge. There's a greater understanding of how systems work, right? When you've gone through the system, you have an appreciation of the limits and the obstacles in that system, which then, as a child and youth care practitioner from CARE, allows you perhaps more insight into how to navigate the systems. And finally, I'll say that many people saw their time in CARE as a motivation to change the system. And these are the things that didn't work for me. This is what I'm going to change, right? And so they have that drive, and they saw that drive as another benefit from their experience being in the care system.
It's amazing. It's amazing how it's like so many still don't want to talk about it. So many. And we have so many people from all walks of life becoming practitioners, and just, the fear of sharing, the fear of disclosing is common among all walks of life.
I mean, this idea, this fear came up a lot as well in our conversations, right? And some of that fear was based in, I'm going to be labeled, right? I'm going to be labeled as this or that. Some of that fear was based, people talked about being told that they couldn't work with certain populations because they're going to be too close. Right. People were treated cautiously, right, by their colleagues, right? And practitioners from CARE also talked about, it's sometimes it is hard. It's hard to leave our work at home. Sometimes we do over-identify. Sometimes we do see ourselves, right? And so all of those sorts of things are real, right? So we don't want to minimize those elements of being from care as well, right? It's not all sunshine and roses.
Right. You've heard of my CYC utility belt, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
and that goes off of when I was working at Youth Without Shelter, and I used my lived experience being a ex-resident from there. Sometimes with certain youth that lived there, I would disclose, and it helped build that rapport. And it just it's tough because I understand some. If I told some, there could be manipulation, there could be stuff, right? I could get in trouble with my boss, with the place I'm working at, right? Because someone might know something, they might be able to exaggerate something, right? And because it matches a little bit, obviously I look like I did something wrong, right? Like, so I understand, I get the fear, I get that. But for me, I feel like it's one of my superpowers. It goes with my utility belt, right? Being able to share and relate, right? Depending on the situation, obviously. I talk about our the creativity that came out of all the people that helped you do refiled, and from beginning to the end. We did sound, right? Like, look at that. There's also by Humber, right? Like we did sound together, right? Like we did the voice stuff. It was amazing. The creativity. It was so much fun, and to be able to put something together like this that I feel personally lost traction because of COVID. And that was a big reason why I wanted to bring you on here, because I think your work deserves to be heard, deserves to be shared. I think it will help fight that fear. The more we talk about it, I feel like even with the OACYC, talking about having a membership category for CYCs from care. They need to be recognized, right? There needs to be a space for them also, and but with that also that category, if you will, right, encompasses so many walks of lives. Right, so I think it might open the eyes to, right, like your story getting out through this podcast. Like it's just amazing. It getting out may help bring people to the idea of becoming a child and youth care practitioner, right?
I want to pick up on that because I 100% love the idea of practitioners from care, right? In the same way that I think it's amazing and important to have people with disabilities work in disability community, to have racialized people working in racialized communities, people, particular religious communities working within those religious communities. And as well, as you said, right, people from outside those communities as well. One of the things that did come up, though, which really started to worry me, I suppose, is several people talked about being pushed into that field, being pushed into the social services, being pushed into child and youth care or social work because of their past, and perhaps not being given the breadth of options that might otherwise have been presented, right? Oh, you have spent time in a shelter, you should work in a shelter. You have been in care, you should work in care. And I know many people at this point in time in my life who entered into the field then left. I just had a conversation last week with a not so young woman anymore. She's in her 30s now, but I knew her when I was working with her when I think first met her when she was 14, and she was a dynamo, and she was on all these committees and youth advisory groups, and she started working in the field and started doing organization, building organizations, et cetera, and she works in IT now. Like, she is so far. She's like, she doesn't do anything related to child and youth care. I mean, I know there's some amazing child and youth care practitioners like Aaron Surchek who also works in IT, and we need those. But she's just left, right? And I also see people, they get burnt out, or even worse, they start to get exploited, right? And so we see this this parade of youth voices, and come and go to our conferences and tell us your story, and tell us your story, and tell us your story. And so these people are telling their stories over and over and over and over again. And one of the things that we did in Refiled is people didn't play their own stories, and we also hired actors as well. And so that you don't know when you're listening, is this person an actor? Is this person have direct experience, right? And so you don't know. So for the audience, you're not saying, oh, this is this or this is that. And we have to be cautious when we invite people from care to tell their stories, to reveal their stories. In the same, we have to be cautious when we invite anybody who has experiences of trauma or of difficulty, to ask them. In our research, we talked a lot about the experience of CYCPs from care in school. There's a lot of stuff about that, about school. But one of the students talked about a presentation that they had to do, which was essentially take one of the most difficult stories of your life, and you're going to present on that to the rest of the class. And so it became this parade of trauma, of student after student after student after student talking about their trauma. And the professor said, I'm going to do it as well. And the student said, I don't want to know this about you. I don't want to know this. Why do I need to know this about you? Why do I need to know this about all my peers? And so I think as those of us who work in education, we also have to be very cognizant. What is it that we are asking people to do, and why are we asking them to do that?
I agree. I've been in that position. I think how passionate I was about supporting youth experiencing homelessness. And I realized, I think it was shortly after we did Refiled, that I lived that. I did that. I did so much. And for me to expand as a CYC and have growth, I needed to move from there. And that helped me with my decision. Also other internships, and falling in love with the disability community. I'm now have got your back, and I support young adults with disabilities. And Got Your Back was planned 2 years before that, and I had a whole outline, and it was about helping people with homelessness, experiencing homelessness. And it's amazing how I totally agree. Like, I was stuck. I was asked to talk at places. I was asked to share my story, and because I was like the token person who kind of I was a success story, for, if you will, for some places. I could share my story, and they were able to get funding because I had a sob story and a success story, and I think a lot of that I could see why some people would want to change course, right? Get out of it, right? Because if you got to really love doing child and youth care. You have to. You really need to have a passion for it, and like I find with supporting the young people I do, it just I know I'm there. I know why I'm there. I love it. I love it, and I think that's in your case you love it. And you were able to. You love theater. You love creativity. You love the arts, and you were able to put all of that together. I love He-Man, and I have the power sword at Got Your Back, and I have my members when they're getting stuck, they go grab the sword and they raise it above their head and they say they have the power, and it helps them. Right, like I literally brought something I loved. I tried, right, just like you. You're bringing your love for theater and art to CYC, and it helps get stories out there. It helps get ideas differently, and just the way we created Refiled, like you just mentioned, where we didn't tell our own stories, right, or someone else spoke our story. And it made an amazing story. It did.
I just want there was a question in the private chat around this idea of colonialism and the effects of colonialism on care, and we had people from a variety of different perspectives, including Indigenous folks, and one of the things that came towards the end is this idea that it's not worth the cost, right? And so one of the people who was an Indigenous woman and hiring care, she talked about, yes, she has these abilities to connect with people because of her experience, and she has these abilities to relate and understand. And she said, but it's not worth it. It's not worth it. The disruption that was caused to my life, the disruption that was caused to my community, the disruption is continuing to be caused to the Indigenous community. It's not worth it, right? And so the costs are too high. And I think that's really important for us to keep in mind, that we also don't want to romanticize this and create this sense that yes, there's utility, but yes, there's the power of Grayskull. Yes, there's the sense of we can overcome, and the trauma is real, and the pain is real, and it's lifelong, right? It's lifelong. And I think part of the reason that people leave is because they can't still live in that pain. They can't still live in the colonial legacy. They can't still live in the hurt that existed for so many years in the care system. I had some people in the project who said, I don't call it the care system because there wasn't care in that system. I didn't experience care. And one of the people I spoke with, she said, if as an educator, you have a student and they don't really seem to understand what care is or how to care, it might be that they never experience care. And don't pathologize them. Understand that they might never experience care. And this person said, I don't know how to care because I never had care. And I had to learn how to care. I had to figure that out as an adult. And that's part of the legacy as well of the experience of some people. Some people don't know how to care. And so our job, Cora was talking about, us and community. Our job, I think, is to find the ways to support. Heather Pearl in the comments here talked about the therapeutic benefit of disclosing. When I was having conversations with practitioners from care, do you have a question you want to ask? And one of people, the first person I interviewed said, did you find healing through going to school? And that was a very common narrative, this idea that people found healing by going to school. And I had some people, when I asked that question, they got really offended and upset that I asked that question. They said, school is not a place for healing. Therapy is a place for healing. And don't come to school to heal. And other people said, yes, I found healing through school. And so we have to understand that people are also coming into the education system for different reasons. And perhaps they will come in and they will heal, and perhaps they will then move into IT. And that's great as well.
Right? Yeah, it's amazing. I think I know a few people that like just like the diploma was therapeutic for them, and they moved on to something else, right? But it's awesome professors that bring stuff out of us that make it therapeutic, right? And you're CYCs.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Right?
Like it or not, we can't leave it.
Right? We're getting that holistic approach.
Indeed.
In our education.
Indeed.
Well, I'm being aware of time, and we're doing pretty good. I before we leave, I want to remind our audience that we are giving away one student membership at the end of this show.
That's
so
awesome.
You need to stick around. And one student membership, we're going to do a Kahoot, I think. We're going to see how that works out, but it's only one question. First, we answer the one question.
Oh,
and it's going to be fun and exciting, right? I think all the students, at least I know Humber students, know what Kahoot is, and we're going to have fun. But I got one final question. We'll go along with the theme of CYC week, future of CYCs. Do you have any words of encouragement for future CYCPs?
Yeah, you know, it can be an incredibly rewarding field, child and youth care, right? Like I've been around this field for a long time. It's incredibly rewarding, and so I encourage you, if you have an interest and a willingness and desire, then please pursue it. Take care of yourself, right? As you're doing it, take care of yourself. Take care of those around you. Know that you have other options as well, right? That how your future unfolds, it will unfold as it needs to unfold. And I also want to say that, yes, people from care, child youth care practitioners from care, we can absolutely change individual lives, and we can change the larger system. And there's a lot of people who have direct experience in care who are doing amazing work right now. Some of them are CYCPs, like yourself. I think of Shannon Cherry. I think of Megan Lindy. And then some of them are not CYCPs, but they come from care. And I think of David Lewis Pert or Shanice McNuff or Jane Kravakova or Sean Elliott. And they're people who have care experience, who are committed to changing the world, changing your system. So if you're from care, you're interested, you're a CYC, find your community and let's work together. And we absolutely can change the lives of individuals and the larger system to make it what all of us deserve to live in.
Awesome. Wolfgang, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Sean. I'm so excited for a debriefing. This is amazing. I'm glad you're doing this, Sean.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Hey, you're part of the inspiration. I'm not going to lie. You're part of the inspiration. I can't thank you enough. On behalf of OACYC, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. I'll have you on again. Totally. Maybe we'll get you as a regular guest on here.
Sounds great.
Debrief a lot. Stick around. Okay.
I will.
I'm going to put you off and we'll close the show and we'll chat for a little bit after we go offline. All right.
That's great.
All right. Stick around.
Great job, Sean.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey everyone. Thank you. What an awesome night. I want to see who's here Like, are we giving away a student membership? Are we doing this? There we go. Hey, Aaron. Okay,
Hi,
we're going to
Sean.
give away a student membership.
So, for those of us who are tuning in today and are familiar with Kahoot or not familiar with Kahoot, I'm going to share my screen now, and you're going to base. Kahoot. There it is. You should now see the Kahoot screen. So, if you go either with the Kahoot app or to www.kahoot.it and you enter that PIN, you'll be able to join us for this very exciting one-question Kahoot. The way this is going to work is I will see who answered it first, and whoever gets the first answer will win the student membership. Of course, I will have to verify you are a student. I'll double check that, so don't try to blame me.
You can use the QR code, I believe, as well.
Yes, you can. You can use QR code. I see some people popping in, so we'll just give it maybe one more minute, and then I will press go. I love the Kahoot music. I gotta say, I've never not loved the Kahoot music.
Right? It always made I got excited.
It really
class when we heard about Kahoot.
It really gets you excited about learning. So, as an educator in my other existence, this is a tool I use a lot. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and press go.
All right.
OACYC. I don't know why it says the title, but anyway, 3, 2, 1. Quiz. What year was the OACYC founded? Oh my goodness. That is not at all what I expected, but the correct answer was 1969, and nobody got it.
Nobody got it.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. So how do we do this?
So I'm going to do it by the one person who answered 1965, because that's closer. So that's how I'm going to choose this.
All right. So who did that?
1965. 1965. It's going to tell me who did 1965. 1 second. It's still going to announce the things, which is hilarious. But if we go to the summary now, 1965 was... Oh, bear with me. It doesn't want to tell me. Okay. If you answered 1965, please be honest and tell me you answered 1965, because it's not in the mood to be honest with me, apparently. So sorry about that. But if you answered 1965, please put in one of the chats now, and I will see it, and I will get in contact with you, or the OACYC will get in contact with you. I'm going to stop.
If not, you can always send an email to membership@oacyc.org, and we will fix that up.
Yep. I'm going to disappear now. Bye, folks.
All right. Well, that's the end of the podcast. Thank you, everyone, for sticking around, for watching. Thank you again, Wolfgang, for enlightening us with what you've done, your journey. We've got to do a big thing for CYC from CARE, and I hope that we can get people watching the podcast. I hope we could regenerate the motivation that was happening and get your story out. Traction was lost during COVID, and I think it deserves to be heard. It deserves to be shared worldwide. Things need to be heard. Again, thank you all. We have thesis presentation tomorrow at 7 p.m. and trivia night Friday. So show up. We got some fabulous prizes we're giving away. So trivia night's going to be 8 p.m. Friday. So make sure you're there. We'll be live on all our social media. Have a fabulous night. Thank you.